Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. I'm gonna go ahead and apologize right now because it's very early in the morning. I just woke up and it's about 12:50. So, I look hideous. Please you could do this if you want. The whole video, that's much nicer. Now you're not looking at something so ugly. As many of you know, today is Father's Day. Woo. And also, as many of my friends know, my father passed away a couple months ago. And I just kind of wanted to take a couple minutes to talk about that and, kind of talk about what I've learned within the past couple months since that passing. And hopefully I can take that knowledge and wisdom and, give it to you guys. So my father unexpectedly passed away with a heart malfunction. It just gave out while he was sleeping. And, it's been pretty rough on the family. Or at least it was. We're doing all right now. But to basically teach you guys what I want to teach y'all, I have to take you back to the beginning of the year when my life kind of started falling apart. But bear with me, okay? I promise good things come out of this. So it all kind of started in December when I was finishing my third semester at Baylor University studying film and digital media. I came home and I kind of found out that I couldn't go back to Baylor because of financial reasons. We just couldn't afford it anymore, and that was kind of rough on me because, Baylor is probably one of the best experiences of my entire life. And, I loved film. I liked studying that stuff, and actually, it was one of the first times in my life feeling like I really knew where I was going and where I wanted to go. So, coming home and finding out we couldn't afford to send me back was a little rough. But, I persevered. That was awful. Please don't ever rewind and watch that again. So not long after finding out, we kind of just went on with our daily routine with me being home for the winter. My parents went to their jobs, and my siblings didn't go to their jobs because they're too young for jobs. But again, things started going sideways. Okay, so we actually wanted to move into a new house, a bigger house, because I had a family of 7, and the house we were living in was a 4-bedroom house. Yeah. We actually got the money together, because, I wasn't going to Baylor anymore, so we weren't spending a whole bunch of money on that, and so we actually, we weren't doing too bad, to be honest. So we moved into a newer, bigger house, right? Now, of course, with moving into a newer, bigger house, it's a bit more expensive. Well, not long after moving in, maybe about a week or two, both of my parents lost their jobs within 3 days of each other. And, that was really scary for us. And we had quite a bit of money saved up, so we were doing all right. But, it was still an expensive home, and there's a big family to feed, and all that stuff. So, that was kind of hard. And I guess some people could wonder, why didn't you move back into the smaller house? Well, the thing is that smaller house was a rental, and the actual homeowner came home from wherever she was, and she got to live there, which is fine. That's her house. She's supposed to do that. So, we just stayed in this house because, we didn't want to move again and have to pay for movers and all this stuff. So my parents started looking for jobs, and that took them a really long time. In fact, neither of them got a job. My mom did find a temp job for a short time, but for a short time. It's a temp job. Not long after looking for these jobs, my dad was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease, and I don't remember what it's called. And don't quote me on this unless you're going to quote people and say I might be wrong. I think what it was doing is it was eating away at his nerve endings and then the cartilage in his body, mostly in his lower back. So it was hard for him to move around, and he was in a lot of pain all the time because we couldn't even afford health insurance to get it treated. And, you know, it kind of sucked because he was in a lot of pain constantly, and he couldn't catch a break from it. So it made him, I guess, irritable and angry. You know, things just got a little chaotic around the house. So I decided I wanted to take some responsibility and help out the family. I went and got a job doing door-to-door sales. Oh boy, so fun, except it's not. But, you know, my friend and I actually did it together, so that wasn't too bad. And so we would drive to and from work every day. Well, one day, we were driving to work, and we were at a standstill at a red light, and we got rear-ended by a guy going about 50 miles per hour. And I ended up being okay, but it sent my friend to the hospital. And it sounds a lot worse than it was. He ended up, you know, they just did x-rays, and they sent him home. They had to give him all kinds of medicine and hydrocodone and stuff. But he, you know, all in all, he was alright. But my car was totaled. And so I didn't have any kind of transportation anymore. So my dad had to start taking me to and from work every day, which was, sucked for him. You know, because my mom was working, and I had no other way to get to work because my friend's car was also being used by his father because his father's car had broken down. So my dad had to take me to and from work, that's terrible, because, you know, he was in a lot of pain, and it sucked having to get him up early in the morning to be like, hey, Dad, can you drive me about an hour away? And then also you're going to turn around and come back, and I'm not going to be there. But not long after that, I quit my job. It wasn't exactly my kind of thing, and I was not a fan of the workplace, I'll say. I'm not going to go into big detail about that. And that's when things took a turn for the worse. I was home on a Monday, and my siblings, I can't remember where they were. They may have been, they were at school. That's what it was, because it was on April 28th, 26th, 25th? It was on April 25th. But they were at school, and my mom was at her temp job, and I was just home playing a game. And I went downstairs to get some food, and my mom texted me saying, hey, ask your dad if he talked to the auto shop about your car so we can find out what happened, because we didn't know if it had been totaled at the time. And so I went into his room, and my dad was laying in bed, and, you know, I was trying to wake him up, and he's a heavy sleeper, okay, so I was kind of laughing about it, because I was shouting, and he wouldn't wake up. And then I noticed that he looked kind of weird. So I walked over to the bed, and he was blue and cold. And I about panicked. You know, I called my mom first, which may not have been the smartest thing. But, you know, then I called 911, and I'm not going to go into detail about what I had to do and what they did and all that stuff. But there was that. You know, I'm a religious guy. You know, I firmly believe in God. But this was very testing for me. And I've never felt that once in my life have I wavered from my faith until the past 4 months. You know, January through April, I mean. I left my dream college with my dream major. My parents both lost their jobs, and we were going into serious, just our finances were plummeting. My dad was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease that we couldn't afford to treat. And then I had lost my car, and my friend had gone to the hospital, which again wasn't that bad, but you know, I was worried. It was just a whole plethora of crap. And I don't know, guys. It was just, I felt like the weight of the world was on my shoulders at the time. So, the day moved on throughout. You know, my friend's mom took my mom out to do something, and my friend and I stayed behind to clean the bedroom and the house and stuff. So my mom came home later that night, and it was just me and her. We sent my siblings to go stay with my aunt and uncles, because we didn't really want them home at the, you know, due to the current events. At this point, guys, I had kind of just given up. I was over it. I was angry with God, with my life, with either chance, if there was no God, or the higher being, just anything. I was just angry. And I felt abandoned by whatever had been looking out for me my entire life. And so I was just laying in bed with my mom, trying to comfort her. And, you know, we talked for a bit, and then I told her I was going to go to bed because I was tired. And, you know, the last thing she said to me that night was, "I'm glad you got to spend some time with him before he left." And guys, that it all made sense at that point. It clicked in my head. Everything just came together. My father was suffering for a long, long time. He had that autoimmune disease long before we got it diagnosed. We just didn't know what it was. But when I was up at Baylor, I was constantly so busy that I could never come home and never see my family. I'd come home maybe 2 or 3 times a semester, and that includes some holidays. You know, I think both first, second, and third semester I came home only one weekend just because I wanted to come home. I never, ever got to see my family. But as soon as I couldn't go back to Baylor, I was seeing them every day. I was seeing my mom and my dad every day. Now, of course, they still had to go to work and stuff, so it was like sometimes I'd see them in the morning if I woke up early enough. But I would always see them at night, and we'd watch our shows together and stuff. So then we got into the new house, right? And that was still cool, even though it was more expensive. We loved it, because there was enough rooms in the house for everyone to have their own room. So we were just psyched about that. And then, you know, my parents lost their jobs, and that sucks, but I got to see my parents all day, every day, especially my dad. And just, no matter what, they were home. Now, of course, I wasn't always downstairs and hanging out with them, but when my dad was diagnosed, that kind of forced me to be a bit more active with my father, to help him out in ways I could. Whenever he wanted to cook because he loved cooking, he would call me down and say, "Hey, I need your help," and I would cook with my dad. You know, I got to spend quality time with him cooking, and that was like his favorite thing to do ever. So that was just awesome. And then I went and got a job. and when I got that job, I was gone most of the day. For training, I was showing up. I had to be there by 11, and it was about an hour drive, so I'd leave at 10 in the morning. And with my dad's autoimmune disease, he was just tired all the time and in pain, so he slept a lot. There was just, typically he wouldn't get up that early. And then I wouldn't be home until close to 11. Because when we'd go out, I would do training for like 2 hours or whatever. And then, it was just a long day, lots of walking and stuff. So I wouldn't get home till super late, and sometimes my dad was just exhausted, and sometimes I was just exhausted. But when I got in my car wreck, that forced me to be with my dad, even when I wasn't home. That forced me to have to visit with my dad on the way to work. My dad would come get me after work, and we'd visit on the way home. So even if he was exhausted and I was exhausted, we still had an hour of talking time to just talk about whatever, because it's not like we could just zone out into a TV or our phones. We actually spent quality time together driving home. Now, of course, my father still had to leave. He still had to pass. And a lot of people can argue, well, what if he just didn't get sick in the first place, But the thing is, he did. And there's nothing we could do about that. But we couldn't afford to treat my dad, and he was in an immense amount of pain, and he was suffering a lot. And so I believe personally that with his passing, he's no longer suffering, and he went to heaven. And that's really the best thing that could possibly happen to somebody. And I was fortunate enough, or my God, or a higher power, if you don't believe that, or just chance, if you don't believe that, played out in my favor. It allowed me to spend time with my father and my family before it all came to an abrupt end. So what I want you guys to take away from this, after this long just spiel and me just spitting words at you guys, is there's a silver lining in just about every storm. No matter how hard life gets, there's always something there for you to grasp onto, some kind of hope, some kind of faith, and things will get better. Appreciate your family, guys. You don't know who's gonna leave, you don't know when. And I know it's not always healthy, your relationship with people. I know it's not always happy. I know friends that have moved out because their parents were just so psychotic to them. And I get that that's hard to deal with. But at least try to mend those relationships, because I can promise you, when you don't have the chance, you'll regret it forever. Alright, so, to recap, my life was going through hell, and then I found a silver lining. Anybody can do that. Okay, no matter how down in the dumps your life is, I promise there is always something there that you can look for, that you can strive towards, that you can run toward, that will make you realize that there is good in life, okay, amongst all this darkness and all these storms and just everything. There's always something good to look for. You just gotta work for it. You gotta look at it. You gotta see it. And then also love your family, especially your fathers, this Father's Day. I'm sorry if my video totally bummed you out. That was not my intention, but I really hope you guys learned something from this. And I also wish I was more philosophical in what I could say, because I just keep repeating clouds, silver linings, and bad things make good things, and it's just random crap. But anywho, thank you guys for watching. I hope y'all enjoyed or learned something from this. Thank you for taking the time out of your day, out of your Father's Day, to watch this video. All of my thoughts and prayers out to all families this day. And I hope and pray for the best for all of you guys. Keep your chins up, your smiles bright, and just have a great time with your family. Take it easy.